What's up, everybody? It's Gone Turbo here, and this is the Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind on Xbox One. I'm pretty excited to be able to say that, and in this video, I wanted to kind of have a little bit of an opening introduction to this game, as it is now backwards compatible on Xbox for the Xbox One, and also available for download. In this video, I wanted to kind of take you through some of this game, talk about this game, talk about if it's worth buying or downloading, talk about my own personal history with this game. I just wanted to brag for a moment that I actually have the original discs. I played the heck out of this game when it came out, and here I have, as you can see, my original disc and my Game of the Year disc, which had some downloadable content. So this game came out in 2002 with the special edition, or the Game of the Year edition, about a year later. And like any Elder Scrolls game, it received pretty good reviews, lots of awards, and just really groundbreaking. This was the first Elder Scrolls game available for console. Some of the previous games, Arena and Daggerfall, were PC games. So for this series to be brought over to console, Elder Scrolls 3 was a pretty new thing for the series. So in this video, I want to talk about what this game entails, talk about what you'll expect if you were to download or buy this game. As we go through it, this opening sequence, I'm not going to give any walkthrough information. I might talk a little bit about some of the opening sequence and some of the ways that it plays through, but it's not going to be a step-by-step walkthrough at the onset. I'll talk a little bit about the differences between this game and Skyrim in particular. But the long and short of it is that this is Vardenfell, the volcanic island in Morrowind, and basically the land of the Dark Elves. You arrive on a ship as an unknown person. You know, you give yourself a name here in this opening sequence here. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody, but you're basically going to fulfill a prophecy in the main quest as you work, as you work through the main quest in this game. This game is going to require a lot of reading. There isn't a lot of dialogue that was recorded with characters and voice actors. So a lot of this game is a little bit more old school RPG. When you hover over a character, you're going to be reading a lot of dialogue. So definitely expect a lot of that. I also believe that, although I don't know the specifics, I was reading that backwards compatible games from the original Xbox to 360 or 360 up to the Xbox One, that there are some graphical improvements that take place. So research that a little bit more if you feel you want to. But this is what happens. This is what it looks like when you get off the boat, and it just seems a little bit better when you. It just seems a little bit better looking, this game. But you arrive on the island, you come off the boat, you end up here with this guard, and you choose, after you choose your name, what race you would like to be. All the classic characters, Elder Scrolls characters. But this game, when you choose a character, you will get different skill attributes depending on what race you choose. So here I'm picking a Nord, and you get an axe and blunt weapon bonus right off the bat by choosing this character, and some other special powers. And you can change different presets with the left and right buttons. when you enter this building here, I'm not gonna go through it, play by play, but you can go through 3 different ways to choose your style of play, your style of character. What I choose to do, as you'll see when I approach this guy here, is pick from a list of classes. And I'm going to pick, you'll see in just a moment, a warrior. With each class, you're going to be able to have different skills and attributes right off the bat. So when you click on him, you'll see that there's 3 different ways to either guide you to what class you could be, or you can pick a custom class. So this is what I do here is scroll down. You can see all the different characters and what their specialization and attributes and their skills are going to be. You can be a mage or warrior or spell sword. So pick what you like, and then you can pick what birth sign you were born under, which gives you even more abilities. Kind of like in Skyrim, when you can pick from those stones to receive those attributes. Everything in this game is static, so objects won't get knocked around, fall off tables and things like that. But you can pick up items and drop items in the game. But things are able to be taken and viewed information on them, their weight, what their worth might be. You get to explore around this room a little bit. This is a good little room to kind of check out how the gameplay works. Good place to play around in the menus a little bit. By pressing the B button, I believe, you can go to your menu. But this is an older game, so you're not going to get the quality of gameplay and movement as a newer generation game like Skyrim. It is very unique in itself, and there's a lot of similarities, just like these other Scrolls games, to what you're doing in the game. I have noticed, obviously, that loading time is significantly improved from the original Xbox. I think it was like minutes long on the original Xbox, some of the loading screens. Absolutely mind-numbing. So in this barrier, you're going to find a key, or a ring that will be part of a quest, but it's good to hold on to for a little bit. But here, I was trying to refamiliarize myself with the controls, so you kind of have to bear with me through this part a little bit here. I go a little bit crazy trying to refamiliarize myself with these controls. So like I said, this game came out in 2002, and at the time, a lot of games that were available were not sandbox, open-ended kind of games. They're all very linear, and I personally was seeking something that was completely open-ended and completely open to exploration, and something that offered a bit of a fantasy genre kind of feel. When I noticed that this game was available, I actually had come across it in the official, I think it was the official Xbox magazine, I think is what it was called. And it got a score, I think, of like an 8.6 out of 10. And reading the review and looking at the pictures in this magazine, I was like, man, I gotta get this game. And when I did, and opened the box and looked at the manual, I was so excited to be able to get into this world. And I have the manual in hand right here, and I remember going through and looking at not only the images, but seeing how big the map was. And I was so excited to be able to get into exploring this world. And reading the introduction really struck a chord in what I wanted to have out of a game. And I just wanted to read to you this introduction, and it has held true, in my opinion, to all games since Oblivion and Skyrim in the philosophy that the Elder Scrolls and Bethesda has. So here's what it says. The essence of any Elder Scrolls role-playing game has always been simple. Let you do what you want and make sure you have fun doing it. Huge, detailed, and open-ended are words that frequently come up when talking about Arena, Daggerfall, and now Morrowind. We don't believe a good role-playing game should restrict you from making choices, even if they're bad ones. Go ahead and play as a wizard that wears heavy armor. You can do it, but remember it's another skill to learn and might take away from your magical studies. One of the first questions people usually ask us is, what do I do in this game? The answer we give is inevitably, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to be a noble knight or a treacherous swine? Do you want people to like you? Do you want people to loathe and fear you? Do you prefer casting spells, wielding swords, or both? Want to plunder dungeons and tombs? Rise to the head of a guild? Gather information from everyone about everything? Whatever your interests, there's plenty for you to do. One minute you may be gazing up at the moons and stars over the plains, or out for a swim in the sea of ghosts, and running for your life from a cliff racer or slaughterfish the next. Any place in Morrowind can quickly turn deadly. Vardenfell, the setting for Morrowind, is a culturally and geographically diverse place, dominated by the volcanic Red Mountain and surrounding wastelands. You'll find the island's population in a variety of different settlements, including small fishing villages with stick huts, strange towns where houses that look like large bug shells are used for housing, dwellings made of giant mushrooms growing by mages, and the majestic ancient city of Vivec. Everywhere you go, you will find an assortment of do-gooders, scoundrels, eccentrics, and ordinary people just trying to make their way in the world. How you choose to interact with them is entirely up to you, and as a result, you will find your gameplay experience may be completely different from anyone else's. Trust whom you will, dispatch whomever you want, but be prepared for the consequences. Morrowind is filled with things for you to do, hundreds and hundreds of things. During your efforts to complete the main quest or rise to power in a faction, don't forget to leave the beaten path now and then to see what's over the next ridge, or talk to people you meet to see what problems or assistance they may reveal to you. It is in these moments, and thousands of others like them, you will forget the real world, sometimes much longer than you intended, and lose yourself in hours. Perhaps it'll be spent searching for a lost artifact that is rumored to be hidden in a tomb. Maybe you'll choose a side in a war between rival guilds. No matter what your preference, there's no right or wrong way to play Morrowind. The Morrowind team. So after I read that, and read words like, do what you want to do and have fun doing it, hundreds and hundreds of things to do, that there's no right or wrong way to play Morrowind, and most importantly for me, reading to not forget to leave the beaten path now and then and see what's over the next ridge. To me, that was completely open-ended exploration that I was seeking in a game. And forgetting the real world and losing myself in Morrowind was really what happened. You know, just spending hundreds of hours on this game, just like any other Elder Scrolls game, it can transport us to a different world. It does transport us to a different world that we can explore. We have control of it. And that's very appealing to a lot of us that enjoy these games. It's not linear. It's doing what you'd like to do and how you'd like to do it. And that essence that Morrowind has been carried through to Oblivion and Skyrim. So to play this game, you're going to get that feeling that the Elder Scrolls series has always had. That exploration, to be who you want to be. It's a really cool thing. It's a really cool thing, and it's okay to get lost in these worlds and forget ours. You know, the real world can be a tough place, and to spend time in Morrowind and in Skyrim and all these other lands in this kind of way, in a video game, is perfectly fine. Is this game worth getting? Is it worth the download? If you are an Elder Scrolls fan, then I would say yes. You know, to be part of to be part of the story, to learn the lore, to be able to explore this world. You know, if you can get a little bit past the age of it, the graphics and the gameplay, you know, the characters are pretty stiff when it comes to combat. It's not the same as Oblivion or Skyrim. It shows some age, but as a original Xbox game, 2002, it still looks great. You know, for that generation of consoles. So in this game, I'm just gonna continue to play and talk a little bit about just talk a little bit about more what this game will provide, and what some of the things that you'll experience. It does have a 24-hour day-night cycle with beautiful scenery, beautiful weather effects, rain, you get fog, no snow, but you will get an ash storm if you're in certain areas of the world. You know, things like, as you can see as I hover over a sign, you're going to get a pop-up of text of what the sign says. So there really isn't anything that is labeled real time in the game. It's all most objects and doorways and signs you have to hover over to see what it is. Water textures, I think, are excellent for this generation. I remember, you know, reading a lot of praise about how beautiful the water is, or, you know, at least was for that, for you know, 2002. You know, the original Xbox was a powerful console for the time. You know, it definitely was a new thing for, you know, Microsoft, you know, at the time, you know, computer company to create a gaming console. You know, it was like, wow, it's not just Nintendo and PlayStation anymore. You know, we now have a new contender, and you know, the technology at the time was just seemed to be a little bit pushing the boundaries of what each generation of consoles since were able to do. So it seems like sometimes from generation to generation of console, you know, I remember it was like, oh, we, you know, go to 8-bit to 16-bit to 32-bit, and then all of a sudden, you know, we have your 64. You know, all of a sudden we have Xbox come out, and it's just like, oh, this is way beyond anything we've ever, you know, would expect, in terms of being able to create games. So this world, you know, is you're on a volcanic island, and you know, a lot of the tone is more brown and earth colors. You know, I'll be honest, you're not going to get very, you know, fantasy, vibrant kinds of colors. You know, we can't mod this game on Xbox, so you get what you see here, or you see what you get, I guess. You know, there's different varieties to this land. Obviously, you have your center volcanic area that ends up being particular to the storyline. Again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you do have the island surrounded by water, obviously. So you do have your fishing, villages, and a lot of cool like shipwrecks to explore. That's one thing I loved about this game, was exploring shipwrecks. They're all over the place, and they're tons of fun. A lot of obviously tombs and grottos and caves and things like that to be able to explore, and different kinds of villages that are lore friendly to this land. So you have a section where mushroomy plant-like structures that are civilized, and buildings that are made out of like giant bug shells, as the introduction mentioned. Just very unique, and it's different. Mountainous regions, regions that are barren, that are like ash barren. But there is a section in the northeast part of the island that is a little bit more foliage friendly. So you have a little more of the grassy field, trees kind of section. I always thought that was kind of like the most I don't know, less harsh part of the island. But you're going to have quite a bit of the common folk, the dark elves, common folk that are grumpy about life and things. So it's a tough world. It's a tough country, I guess, to be in. But still, Elder Scrolls game is lots of fun. You're going to be able to do, again, all of the things that you have been able to do in Elder Scrolls games, such as making, I was going to say making potions, but alchemy, enchanting, armor. You have to repair your weapons and armor in this game, so that's a little bit of a laborious thing. Obviously taken out of, I think, Oblivion. They didn't have having to repair armor. Definitely not in Skyrim anyway. As you'll notice also that even though wielding and striking with weapons is not, I don't know, visually appealing compared to like Skyrim, you do have the ability to chop by pressing the trigger, thrust by moving forward and pressing the trigger, and slash, which is moving side to side and pressing the trigger. It's tricky to pull off, but different weapons will, if you want a bigger damage point, then you have to either slash, chop, or thrust, depending on what kind of weapon you have. What I also did like about this game is that you have different armor pieces to choose from. So if you think about like Skyrim, when you get a iron armor, you get the chest piece and the sleeves, and I guess the pants, or the leggings, the leg wear of armor. In Morrowind, you get to outfit things a little bit more specifically. So you can outfit boots are separate. The legs, and I can't remember what the name is. Bracers maybe for legs. So that's a separate armor piece. The chest piece, gauntlets, helmet, and pauldron, so shoulder pieces. Those are all separate. And it's really cool because you can outfit your character with a little bit more creativity and variety compared to Oblivion and Skyrim. So that's one cool feature about this game that the newer games don't have is, you can accessorize your character. You can dress him or her up a little bit more than the newer games. Um, for the time, I always thought that I just loved admiring my character with the different armors and outfits I was able to find. Now it's a little bit, looking back and as things have improved, it's a little bit, more. The graphics are definitely not as good when you look at it at armors, but for the time, it was like, whoa, this is great. I'm sure 5-10 years from now, as we're playing Elder Scrolls 7, 8, 9, and 10 or whatever, we'll look back at Skyrim and say, yeah, what were we thinking? But so this character here, this cave that I have entered is like a starter cave. So this character gave me a bashing when I first got here. I've improved a little bit on some of my attributes and my equipment, and now I'm back, and it's a close battle here. But you can see that it's not so much that I'm striking the character accurately, it's more of a randomized chance to hit an opponent based on your skill ability. So that's basically how that works is with weapons and spells, it's more of your hit point chance and your skill number based on other than damage amount kind of thing. So you can swing and swing and swing at a character, or cast at a character, and you might get nothing at all, even if you're dead aim. It's based on other things, but so the game overall looks great. For the generation, there's lots to explore. Like all Elder Scrolls games, there's so much. I spent again hundreds of hours playing this game, completely engrossed in the world, coming across new things around every corner, to be able to say, oh, that looks visually appealing and wonderful. Characters to meet, stories to experience, visuals to enjoy, feasting your eyes upon, and just having a really good old time. So I would recommend, if you are an Elder Scrolls fan, if you like Skyrim, if you like Oblivion, if you love those games, then this is worth checking out, and maybe we'll have a little bit more to come. So thanks for watching. I appreciate the support, and I'll talk to you again soon.